President Bola Tinubu visit to Benue State aimed to address the recent bloodletting incident where over 200 persons lost their lives. Now, here are the key points from the visit. Now, the continuous crisis in the state has continued to spark widespread condemnation, with various groups and individuals calling for urgent action to address the violence. Now, part of the things that were discussed is the issue of ranching, where the president actually did request for land, and also the need for reconciliation amongst a plethora of issues. Well, to further expand on this conversation, I'm joined by Ladipo Johnson, as National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, joins virtually from Lagos. Also, Diran Odeyemi, the former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, he also joins virtually. And Samuel Yohanna is a former Organizing Secretary of the APC, joining virtually from Kaduna State. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let me start with you, Mr. Diran.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. Thank you. Let me start with you, Mr. Diran. And Mr. President's visit to Benue State. I mean, this, of course, the recent attacks isn't the first that has happened. It's been a recurring issue, right? But this one, you know, seemed to really hit hard. Over 200 persons lost their lives in the Yalwata, community. And this, of course, has continued to elicit reactions and all of that. But my question to you is this, sir. Mr. President's visit, many are asking, I mean, how much of an impact, this has had. So for you, with what you saw yesterday, the build-up to the actual visit, the conversations that happened, how, did it hit you?
Yes, first of all, I want to pray for the repose of those who lost their life in that damage. May God grant them an rest, and my condolences to the entire family of the people affected. It is quite unfortunate that, life does not matter to us in this country. And when I say to us, to our leaders, one of the most cardinal points of any responsible government is to protect the life and property of an average citizen. And part of the campaign made by this administration is that they are going to wipe out terrorism and all other crimes. But where are we today? And I remember at a point in time, the federal government of the former administration, that is Buhari administration, actually got an approval from the Senate to the tune of 365 billion naira, assuring that after 6 months, there will not be any crime or any terrorism in this country again. But here we are. When I mention Buhari, I'm tying it to this administration. This administration came on board with a promise to protect the lives of Nigeria. But what happened in Benue isn't the first report we had about killings in that community. It has even become a kind of a weekly affair, but simply because it has not gotten to the figure of 200, nobody paid any attention to it. It was when we heard that 200 were killed that the whole country or the president, thought it right to visit the venue. Now my question is, to what extent has that visit, or to what extent will it resolve the crisis in that community and in that state? What I expected the president to have done, which he did at the point in time, and I wonder what law or order the security agencies do obey in this country. But before it got to this stage, there were instances when the president had commanded the military apparatus and the security apparatus to move down to Benue. What did we see? If that had been done, perhaps we'll not be talking of 200 people, being killed, recently. But nobody obeyed. It became a kind of a political statement that, those instruction is not meant to be obeyed. Now the president has visited the place. Let us now see what is going to be the outcome of his visit. It is not only about visits. Visit is just a physical presence to say you sympathize. But how will this now redeem the situation or we all know that it cannot bring back to life people who have lost their life. I see it as just a kind of a political show, visiting, because even
so for you, Mr. Diran,
the president said he was going to visit.
Mr. Diran,
he said it as if what he said was a kind of an obligation to the people of Benue, not with all sympathy in him that lives were lost.
So are you saying that Mr. President's visit there was pretty much cosmetic? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Because you had the opportunity to prevent this thing from happening. That was not done. When it happened, Nigerians have to cry out before the president thought it fit to say yes, he will visit. And the way he said it, that he's putting aside all other state matters or assignment to visit Benue, it was as if he was doing the people of Benue State a kind of a favor, that, you know, I'm going to visit you.
All right.
Now that he has visited, what else again?
All right. Let me bring in Mr. Sam Yohanna into this conversation right now. I mean, you are a member of the All Progressives Congress. Very unfortunate what we saw in Benue State. I'm still going to also put the question as regards what you think of the president's visit to the state. But there was something, you know, a prominent traditional ruler did say while giving an address. That's the tortive, you know, doing his address, you know, at the gathering. He described or characterized the crisis in Benue State as genocidal land grabbing, which is very much, pretty much, you know, planned, you know, well thought of, and that there seems to be an agenda behind it. I mean, what's your take?
Thank you, Mr. Dapo, and good evening, viewers and listeners at home. The president visit ought to come earlier than now. Reason because this Benue killing has been on right from the last dispensation. And if we can remember very well, we used to have one notorious warlord in Benue in those days. Now he's late, called Ghana. Ghana terrorized Benue for years. And if you remember, there was an instance where some Catholic priests were killed, and it was labeled that Fulani herdsmen were the people responsible. But after much investigation and background detailing, it was discovered that it was Ghana and his boys that carried out that killing. So Benue has been a hotbed of crisis, killing. You see, there are militias in Benue, and these militias masquerade and go undercover, operating as if they're outsiders that come and do this. So most of the killings in Benue are things done locally. If you remember what the chairman, Benue Council of Chiefs said, the tortive, he said what is happening in Benue is a political crisis between political gladiators. And I am glad he took the bull by the horn, telling Mr. President to handle this thing as soon as he can, so that this thing will stop. So you see, that statement, we don't need a rocket scientist to tell us what is actually happening there. But like I said earlier, the president visit ought to have come earlier than now. But like we always say, it's better late than never.
So Mr. Sam, sure, are you persuaded into the fact that part of what the tortive did say is that it's beyond just farmers' headers clash, that there's a deeper substance to this crisis that we are seeing, having a genocidal form?
Sure. It's more than that, but we also know that Benue is an agrarian state. And wherever you find agrarian areas in this country are prone to farmers herders clashes. But there's also a political undertone in this fight. Most of the villages in Benue have been taken over, just like what the governor of Plateau said. They've been taken over and renamed. And those people masquerading around those villages are residing in those villages comfortably, grazing. The government at the center need to take a drastic action. What is happening there, the state government alone cannot handle what is happening in Benue. And as a political party, we're not happy with what is happening in Benue. We're highly disappointed. But the president has stepped in now, and I'm sure, like he said, he will see how he resolves this issue in good time so that this killing will be nipped in the bud.
All right. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll, of course, bring in Mr. Ladipo Johnson, the National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, his take on this and some of the issues that were raised yesterday as regards a permanent resolution. One of it is reconciliation. Is that what the people of Benue really need right now? Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. And of course, today on the program, we are continuing our conversation around Benue attacks and the visit of Mr. President. I still have my guest with me. Mr. Ladipo Johnson is the National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, and also Diran Odeyemi, the former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, and Samuel Yohanna, former Organizing Secretary of the APC. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Well, let me come to you. Yes, Barrister Johnson. Let me, of course, take your opinion on Mr. President's visit and some of the, will I call it, resolutions that were reached, or some of the conversations that were had. Now, part of what Mr. President did direct is the issue of ranching, and that a committee should be set up comprising of state leaders, former governors, key individuals to sort of mediate in this matter. I mean, for you, sir, even as an opposition party, with the handling of this case, of not just Benue right now, but even insecurity across the Middle Belt, does it appear that the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, really have a, have it at chokehold as regards what they are doing?
Well, good evening once more. Thanks for having me. Unfortunately, it would seem that Mr. President does not have a grasp or proper understanding of the problems involved. The people from the area, the people from Benue, as my brother just said, are describing it as a genocide. How, my brother, do you tell those who survived or their relatives who are victims to go and negotiate? Negotiate with whom? With the terrorists? These are not communal clashes. They are not. The figures we have, when you hear 200, it means that you have about 300 or so. The national, I was going to say National Publicity Secretary, National Legal Advisor of the Nnpp is from Benue. He was very bitter that even I did not come out sooner to say much about the matter, because he's from, I think, a neighboring village or so. And we have to remember those who are still in hospital, those who have been wounded, some who are still going to die. Now, my brother from the APC has said, and he's right, and I praise him for saying that. The Pope spoke about it before Mr. President spoke. And as my Egbon, as we say in Yoruba, of the PDP said, the way he said he was going to go was as if, oh, I'm going to take away from my schedule and everything. These are not presidential things. That's what led to the problem with ECOWAS and Niger and what have you. The president has to step up No one is asking for magic. We know that he met problems on ground. Look at the, when he was there, when you are talking about talking to the IG, we haven't made any arrests. What is happening? Is it school? As if you haven't done your homework. Have you done your own? This is not professional. It isn't.
So, I mean, for you, are you saying it appeared as if Mr. President just made light of the situation? Is that how you're saying it hit you?
Don't forget the background I laid. He doesn't understand the problem on ground. It is either that or this government is callous and don't have the political will. I'm not willing to say that. It's better I say they don't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. If not, okay, look at it now. You, sir, you, my brother, you wouldn't say ranching immediately. That is a solution. You don't know the problem. You want to put them side by side if you have a ranch somewhere. If the problem cannot be solved, you have to look into the problem, understand the problem. And we are playing catch up. Because as you said, it's not just Benue. Different places, we're playing catch up. And it is, I must say it, don't say it's being political. People will tell you that is, I mean, did we have 300 plus people or 200 plus people killed or maimed in rivers before he intervened? So it lends credence to some members of the opposition who say this man is just playing politics everywhere.
Okay, maybe we should
How do we tell?
Okay, maybe we should step it down a bit to look at even the approach of the state governor, who of course is the immediate custodian of that state. So far, how would you rate Governor Ali's handling of security in Benue State?
May I just say, sir?
Sir.
One, the governor is handicapped.
But I mean, his core responsibility is the security of lives and property there. How is he handicapped?
Yes. But the commissioner, my brother, the commissioner of police, we've seen it everywhere. Kano, different places, answers to the federal. Doesn't answer to the governor. That's one. And then the governor himself, forgive me if I am wrong, I saw a letter from one of his essays, senior special assistant on special or something groups, saying people should come out, people who are meant to be mourning should come out in bright colors to meet Mr. President. I issued a press release today and I said it there that the stance of the state itself is even worse. For that, is even worse than what we're getting from Asoro. They must take this thing seriously. And then you have the audacity to say people should not defend themselves. Because you have DSS and police and whatever guarding you 24 hours.
But Barrister Johnson, I'll come back to you. I mean, let's go back to Yohanna, who is a member of the APC. Your party has really been taking the bashing, as regards the handling of this situation. But I would also put the question as to how Governor Alias has handled the matters so far. Does he appear to be a governor that, maybe has an understanding, but maybe in the words of Barrister Johnson, is politically handicapped to do the needful?
Mr. Dako, you see, like I said earlier, Governor Alia came and met a situation that was already complicated. And the way to approach the issue, he needed support from all the relevant stakeholders in the state. As I speak to you now, even the party at the state level, it's in different faction. There are factions loyal to the so-called Abuja kingpin. Then there are factions also loyal to Father Alia. It's unfortunate Father Alia is not a grassroots politician. He was brought from somewhere to come and contest for the governorship, and luck shine on him. He won the election. You see, winning election and running government are two different things. I guess he's having challenge seeing how to manage all political interests and carrying everybody along. But the so-called Abuja politicians too will have to understand that in the setup of APC, the state governor is the leader of the party at the state level, while at the national level, the president is the leader of the ruling of the party. That's where the party is in government. If the party is not in government, the highest political office holder in another government that has a party will be the leader of the party. So though there is this contending forces in Benue that some people don't want to accept that Father Alia is the leader of the party, political party in Benue State. And that has been causing a lot of friction and distraction to governance in Benue State. Let me put it straight this way. Like my other colleague said, that who are you going to negotiate with? Are you going to negotiate with people that have lost their family members? I put it this way. I think peace-building process is necessary. That should be put in place first. When that one is in place, then fostering relationships is another very, very important aspect. Then reconciliation and unity will now come in. As this progress goes, then sustainable peace building and ensuring that peace and processes resonate around traditional institution and tribal setup. With this, I think we'll be able to make progress. As we go in this program, I'll give some recommendation. There are short-term measures, and there's medium-term measures, and there are long-term measures. Because as it is right now, something urgent needs to be done. If not, things will get out of hand, because these perpetrators are not ready to shield their sword. It's a process that they've taken, and they want to make sure that they destabilize that state. And like Dr. said, he has authority that some people are even happy that that situation degenerate so that the state can be put on state of emergency. We don't pray it gets to that level. That's what we're hoping, that things should be resolved in good time.
I mean, that of course would form a crux of this conversation at some point, because News Central was actually even on ground for most part of it yesterday, and felt the pulse of the people, and even asked the question as regards the state of emergency, if it should be declared in the state. But we'll talk more on this and several other angles to this particular issue when we return from this break. Do stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ, and we are looking at the aftermath of the Benue attacks and Mr. President's visit to the state. I still have Ladipo Johnson, the National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, joining virtually from Lagos. Mr. Diran Odeyemi, former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, also joining virtually, and Samuel Yohanna, the former Organizing Secretary of the APC, joining virtually from Kaduna State. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Let me come to you, sir, Mr. Odeyemi. Right now, with the situation of things in Benue State, some individuals or political pundits are beginning to say, you know what, we didn't even have up to this in Rivers State before a state of emergency, was declared. And right now, we are seeing a state where, at least from reports, about 200 persons were killed in just one community. I wish News Central could, we could bring up the graphics of some of the families that lost individuals, on some side of the screen from that particular community. And many are beginning to ask and maybe suggest that a state of emergency be declared in the state. But I'm going to put it to you, Mr. Odeyemi Diran. At this point, should a state of emergency be declared? Thank
you very much for this particular question. you will agree with me that what happened in Rivers State before the presidency decided to declare a state of emergency is far, far below what happened in Benue State. In fact, there is no way you can put the two on the same scale, and you will not get disappointed that up to now, rather than see the presidency declaring a state of emergency, what we are seeing is a kind of, let me see how we can reconcile. The reconciliation that did not take place in Rivers between two political.
I think we seem to have a bit of difficulty connecting with Mr. Odeyemi. Let me direct the question to you, sir, Barrister Johnson. I mean, from the look of things right now in Benue State, do you think that a state of emergency should be declared?
Well, I think that call it what you want to call it, whether it's a state of emergency or not. I think that there should be a surge in boots on the ground, uniformed men on the ground, and especially in intelligence gathering, so that they can get to the bottom of this thing and know, because my brother, who seems to know more about the area, has said that there's some militia that are in-house, that it's a possibility, that it's not just the so-called herdsmen that we're looking at. Now, what I would say is, call it what you want to call it, but let me sound a note of warning, sir. We do not, I do not, and the party, my party, do not believe that Mr. President has the constitutional right to remove a serving governor or a House of Assembly. So if they're going there, they're bringing in a paramilitary or whatever group or combination, whatever we call them, joint task force or whatever, to work with the governor and security specialists to stamp out this recurring problem. So in that sense, yes, something outside the box, something important must be done. But I'm not, we're not advocating for overreaching powers, removing democratically elected governments. No, we're not for that.
All right. Mr. Yohanna, you have given a bit of, what will I call it, perspective in terms of what might be happening. But from also the look of things, do you think that should a state of emergency be declared in the state, it's justified?
No, I don't support state of emergency. Reason because once a state of emergency is put in place, all democratic institutions in the states will collapse. And I, as a grassroots politicians and politician as a grassroots mobilizer, I don't support that, because what happens to the safe arm of government, the executive, and well, it's only the judiciary that remains in place once it's an emergency, and it's not good for democracy. We can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Let's just find a way and get this thing resolved, and I mean, and it's doable. It's something that can be resolved. Honestly, once vested interests are kept aside, I mean, this can be resolved. So, like I said earlier, the immediate short-term measures, mid-term measures, and long-term measures. One, like already there's a law in Benue where they ban open grazing during the last dispensation of Governor. And our advice, let that ban on open grazing be enforced, and see how these people rearing their cattle can be controlled. And I also advise that all cattle should be registered and be coordinated by Ministry of Livestock at the national level. And the militias there, the ones identified and the ones that are identified, should surrender their weapons to the relevant authorities, and see how they can be radicalized and probably rehabilitated. And that should also be coordinated by the North Central Development Commission. And farmers that have lost so much should be supported with, seeds and probably fertilizer and other chemicals at subsidized rate. So crisis areas need to also be recovered, because nobody will be happy seeing his ancestral home gone and he's seeking refuge somewhere. Because anytime he remembers what happened, it will keep aggravating anger in him. And honestly, they might be tempted to take a revenge. So then for youths that are unemployed, programs should be rolled out to see how these youths can be gainfully engaged and developed. Underlying causes of this crisis should be identified and properly handled, because for every crisis you see, there's an underlying reason why those crises. I'm sorry
to interrupt you. You have highlighted some what I call it solutions, probable solutions, both long-term and short-term. But going back to what the Tortiv did say, that's the prominent, the paramount traditional ruler, he said what is happening is genocidal in nature. Meaning, if one is to look at it from that context, that's an agenda. So how do you tackle, if there is substance to what the traditional rulers said, how do you tackle an agenda-driven attack with some of these solutions?
I beg to differ with the Tortiv, in as much as he's on ground and he knows better than any of us. Agenda, I don't want to believe in it. What I look at it there is this issue between indigenous and settlers dichotomy. That's one of the major causes of this crisis. Because, you see, people come, settle in places, and believe that they have equal rights with the indigenous. And the indigenous will tell you that, no, you came and met us here. So it's a privilege for you to live with us. It's not your right. And some of these issues, if not properly managed, you see now crisis brewing up. So if the Tortiv say is an agenda, will he say that they don't have militia in those places, their own sons that are well known? I've been seeing pictures and videos flying where a particular group of militias who are of thief extraction, lynching, putting up mayhem on people. You see, let me tell you, the guy that died still has his boys masquerading around. And I tell you, if detailed investigation is done, it's not far from what I'm saying now. So they need to identify these their sons that are perpetrating this act and see how they can. And in the past, it has been alleged that some people in government were hobnobbing with these militias, using them for some political exigency. So I don't want to believe that it's an agenda. In Nasarawa too, is there an agenda in Nasarawa? Is there an agenda in Plateau? So look, let me tell you, there has to be an insider. There has to be a collaborator before someone from outside can come in and carry out operations. So
Sam, are you saying that right now, with the suggestion of some saying, you know what, why not just go fire for fire? Are you saying the best approach, or suggesting that the best approach might just be the same dialogue and reconciliation that the president has been? Is that what you're echoing? Given the context
I don't support fire for fire, because two wrongs don't make a right.
But these people are going about killing people.
It's the best way of resolving issues. It can be handled. It can be taken care of. Let them be a sincerity of purpose. Once there's a sincerity of purpose, it can be handled. I remember the president asked the IG, where is it? Why is it that up to now they've not been arrested? The IG ought to have given an answer at that point. If he doesn't give an answer, if I were to be the president, I'll make sure that he's reprimanded. Because where you see arrests not being made in crisis, that means neutralization has taken place.
All right, maybe I should come back to Mr. Diran. Mr. Diran, if you would like to react to some of the things Yohanna said, please feel free. But let's talk about justice here and what you consider a lasting solution. Maybe I'll just allow you to hold your thought for 1 minute. I understand that we need to go on a quick break. Once we return, I'll take your response to this. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Ladipo Johnson, National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, Mr. Diran Odeyemi, the former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, and Samuel Yohanna, former Organizing Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, joining virtually. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. The conversation is still the aftermath of the Benue attacks and the visit of Mr. President. Now, Mr. Odeyemi, just quickly, preferably if you can respond in 30 seconds or less. Moving forward, what do you consider a solution to this problem? Some are suggesting that, you know what, maybe some sort of arrangement for self-defense should be instituted. Do you think, I mean, as, you know, immediate response, do you think, you know, solutions like that can work? What do you consider a lasting solution, sir?
Two wrongs does not make a right, and we actually don't want to encourage people, you know, people killing themselves. Nobody should talk about revenge or, you know, taking another action against the other people. I think the only solution is for the security agencies to up, you know, their tactics of, you know, detecting on time before it happened, and when it happened, ensuring they are able to bring it to an end immediately, and aftermath, those who are involved should be immediately arrested. Not a situation whereby the president will be asking the IG how many arrests have been made. It's either that before you know it now, innocent people will be arrested just to justify that some arrests have been made. But how far are the police able to secure internally, which is their primary job? This is my concern. Let's pray that we don't have any external aggression against Nigeria. The military, the SSS, the police, this Benue State issue has made them to be a failure in the task put before them by the federal government. All right.
Let's bring in a bit of, well, I call it a twist to this. And my next question, of course, is to you, Barrister Johnson. Barrister Johnson, for some Nigerians that are observing the trend, now this is not just on the Benue crisis that we are seeing right now, the issue in Benue State, but even across board and some of the activities of the ruling party. Some Nigerians feel that the opposition has not been, you know, aggressive enough in being vocal. Many Nigerians feel the opposition is quiet. I mean, for instance, the Nnpp had its presidential candidate during the last elections. I mean, Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwakunso, a very, you know, grounded politician. You know, the noise was there. The SDP, for instance, had Adewale Adebayo, you know, who, of course, was his presidential flag bearer, also there. At the same thing, too, we are seeing, you know, with the People's Democratic Party. But right now, it appears like the opposition for some Nigerians is being too quiet when it comes to being vocal on, you know, issues that affect everyone. As an opposition yourself, what is your reaction?
Sorry, was that question directed at me? I lost you for a second.
Yes, the question is directed at you. Some Nigerians feel that the opposition is too quiet or too lenient with the ruling party.
No, you know, you know, I've been on your show several times, and I told you that for us, we were waiting for midterm, which has occurred, and now this issue, for instance, I'm not sure if you saw my press release today. We came out and I wouldn't say we hit them hard, but we told some hard truths. And I said there that Mr. President should call a spade and not a spoon. We will be constructive in our criticism, and we will try to do our best to make sure going forward that things are done properly. You know, when you hit too hard in the first 2 years, democratically speaking. People feel that you are there to try to make sure that the government fails. But that's not the duty of the opposition, and we don't believe in that. But now we will continue to pick up from inflation, the economy, to insecurity, as we're discussing tonight. We will be there to let people know what we feel and the way we feel the country should go forward, and where we feel that the party in power has shortcomings. We will make it clear to Nigerians.
Okay, maybe I should also direct the same question to Mr. Diran. I mean, you're a member of the PDP. Do you think opposition like yourself, the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, the SDP, has been too quiet, especially when it comes to grave issues like this? Some Nigerians feel that maybe, just maybe, they've been totally decimated to a point where, they are voiceless. How do you respond?
It is quite unfortunate that most of the opposition parties, especially the PDP, are in crisis right now. We cannot hear ourselves right, talk less of playing the role of opposition in the country. But I want to make it clear that the role of opposition is not even on the head of the party or the other. It is actually the concern and business of all Nigerians who are being covered, because nobody is anybody to be that hungry. You don't need to tell that the economy is bad. You don't need to tell that this government is not formed. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be about politics. It's going to be individuals against the group.
All right. All right, thank you. Finally, Samuel Yohanna, in 30 seconds, I mean, you are given a list of probable solutions to this. If you can just sum it up in 30 seconds. I mean, you are resident in that region. You seem to understand the dynamics there. In 30 seconds, what do you consider a lasting, if not a permanent solution to this consistent crisis we are not just seeing in Benue State, but even in Plateau State and some regions, within the Middle Belt?
My take on this is there should be fairness and equity, and people should be carried along. Nobody should be marginalized, and no one should be looked down upon, because some people feel they have this entitlement mentality in this country that they are more superior to other people, and that it's not auguring well for this country. So the president is on top of the situation, and I'm sure he has the capacity to handle this. And like I said, there should be sincerity of purpose from the security agents. So nobody should be spared. Once someone is found wanting, he should be dealt with summarily, so that other people can see that nobody is above the law. Everybody is equal in front of the law.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. This is where we drop the curtain. Ladipo Johnson, National Publicity Secretary of the Nnpp, joining from Lagos. Diran Odeyemi, the former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, and also Samuel Yohanna, the former Organizing Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, also joining virtually. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Great. This is where we drop the curtains. In case you missed out, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also choose to follow us across social media with the handle. It's there on your screen. You can choose to follow me personally at Dakbo Adegboye. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.